Hi, my name is Frank Maris. I'm an author, hypnoregressionist, and psychic medium. Today's video shows another of my infamous past lives. Past lives where my soul had a major impact in wrecking empires, kingdoms, or just large parts of countries. This expose will take us to medieval England's real Game of Thrones in 1452. There, I was in the thick of things, to the extent that some thought I was the secret father of the Prince of Wales.
How I discovered this past life story is told in the second half of my book, Soulmates, a Psychic Love Affair. The revealing of this past life started with my first psychic trainer, Brenda Pisani. One day, sometime in the year 2015, I went to Brenda for a psychic reading. In that reading, Brenda told me to be on the lookout for a Marjorie or a Margaret. I didn't know a Margaret, so I just put that heads up in the back of my mind. 2 weeks later, I went out of town to visit my girlfriend and one of my soulmates, Dawn. Dawn and I had several past life marriages together, but in this life, we were together for only 3 months. I helped Dawn develop her psychic skills to the point where she was able to tell me about 3 of our mutual past lives. During one of our meditations together, Dawn received information about another mutual past life. This time she said, "They said I was once Margaret and you were once James." Suddenly remembering Brenda's heads up about the name Margaret, I knew that this information was legit. Brenda and Dawn gave me the clues to find another of my past lives. I intuitively knew that James and Margaret were probably English nobility, so I Googled James and Margaret, medieval English nobles. The first article to display was a Wikipedia entry about Edward of Westminster, Prince of Wales. In the article, a line caught my attention. Henry VI was suffering from mental illness, and there were widespread rumors that the prince was the result of an affair between his mother, Margaret of Anjou, and one of her loyal supporters, James Butler, the Earl of Wiltshire. However, there is no firm evidence to support the rumor. I asked the spirits mentally if I was this James Butler, and I got a yes. I then asked if Dawn was once Margaret of Anjou, and once again I got a yes. So, my soulmate Dawn was once a Queen of England, Margaret of Anjou. So, who was she? I found out that Margaret of Anjou played the Games of Thrones as easily as breathing. In fact, everyone nowadays knows her in the form of a famous fictional character. The HBO series Game of Thrones based the character of Cersei Lannister on the historical Margaret of Anjou. Here's a contemporary picture of Margaret. She's pretty, but this does not capture her real personality. This modern picture better describes the real her: forceful, sexy, and passionate. The man she married, Henry VI, was not like that at all. Poor Margaret didn't understand what a disaster she signed up for when she married Henry VI at the age of 15. His deceased father, the superstar alpha male king Henry V, was a warrior in every sense of the word. He conquered a massive part of France for himself and brought England glory like it never had seen before. Unfortunately, his son was the polar opposite. The younger Henry had no interest in being a warrior or a king. He'd much rather spend his time in church or reading. People said that he was much more of a monk than a king, and he had mental issues. Pretty much every king of England was an incorrigible womanizer, except for Henry VI. You would think that Margaret would be happy about that, but the thing is, Henry wasn't interested in any woman, not even her. 8 years passed after their wedding, and their frigid bedroom produced no heirs. The historian Lauren Johnson asked, Was it because the famously chaste Henry, who was a virgin until he married, didn't know what he was doing? It was not just their wedding night, it was an ongoing thing. She further wrote that the lack of an heir led to concern over the succession. As the first duty of a queen was to bear children, this had a serious impact on her popularity. So, what is a queen to do if her husband king can't produce a son? Nowadays, women in Margaret's situation go to the sperm bank. Back then, there were no sperm banks, but her court was full of high testosterone men in armor. One of those men in armor was me, Sir James Butler, the Earl of Wiltshire. Wikipedia describes Sir James Butler as the most handsome man in England at the time. During the War of the Roses, James fought on the Lancaster side, becoming one of Queen Margaret's staunchest supporters. James Butler grew up in the famous Kilkenny Castle in Ireland as a British lord and was lord of that castle. I know what you're thinking out there. There I go again, claiming another glamorous past life. Okay. The historian Dan Jones called Sir James Butler the greatest coward of his generation, having run away from 3 battles. Why would I go out of my way to claim a coward as one of my past lives if it was not true? Here's a funny connection I have to James Butler. In that life, his first wife was Avise Stafford, daughter and heiress of Sir Richard Stafford. In a meditation, I found out that my junior high school crush, Linda Reagan, was once Avise Stafford in a past life. I never did date Linda, and it goes to show you that just because you were married in a past life does not guarantee that you will be romantic in another one. By the way, Linda is not one of my soulmates. Let's get back to the story. Was James personally connected to Margaret of Anjou? The answer is yes. In the book Richard III, the author, Paul Kendall, describes James Butler as the Queen's favorite. In the book The Hollow Crown, the author Dan Jones said, James, Earl of Wiltshire, is a spineless creature of the Queen. He ranks among the most hated of the Yorkists. So I, as James Butler, was very close to Margaret of Anjou, and I was her soulmate. I have had several romantic past lives with Dawn's soul, so there was an excellent chance that there was a lot of sexual tension between us in that life too. On October 13th, 1452, a miracle occurred when Margaret gave birth to Edward of Lancaster. The royal court thought it was God's direct intervention because Henry VI's mental condition was unstable, and by the time of the birth, he had suffered a complete nervous breakdown. As such, it was highly unlikely that Henry rose to the occasion and finally impregnated Margaret 9 months before. That leaves the question, who was the real father? Unfortunately, Dawn and I broke up before I could get an answer through her psychic gift. Although she was gone, I was left quite fascinated with the idea that I could have fathered an English king with her in a past life. I finally turned to another psychic soulmate of mine, Megan, to see if it was true. I asked Megan to tune into her soul sister's Dawn's energy and find out if I was the father of Edward of Lancaster. Megan stilled her mind and received the answer. The answer was no, I was not the father. But she also said that Henry VI was not the father. Megan then revealed that Margaret brought one of her male cousins from France to court, and it was he who impregnated her. Wow. One of my psychic exercises had just solved another historical mystery. Did Edward of Lancaster become King of England? No. He died at the age of 17 in one of the closing battles of the War of the Roses. Ironically, Margaret was a true model for Cersei Lannister. because both queens passed off their offspring as the true heirs of their husband kings, which they were not.
I share this story with you because it's my mission to teach high-level spirituality through entertainment.
So, what spiritual lessons did we learn from this story? First, just because you are soulmates with another person does not mean that you'll have a romantic relationship and a shared life together. Second, just because you are married to another person in a past life does not mean you'll be in a romantic relationship with them in a following life. Third, everyone has more than one soulmate. Notice that I identified 2 soulmates in this video. I have 20 soulmates in my soul group. Each of them occasionally share a life with me, and most of the time, they are not romantic partners. Well, that's it for today. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. We're not done yet with the story of Sir James Butler. He does meet a bad end. The new King of England signs his death warrant and personally attends his execution. What did he do to tick off that king? Well, you have to stay tuned. Until next time.